Hello my folks, I'm Ingers from Ants Latvia and let's start our second ant feeding. So we will start with some interesting Brazilian species, bullet ant species Neoponera apicalis. These are quite interesting ants, quite big in size. Average size of the worker is 3 or 3.5 centimeters. I spotted some interesting behavior today. I watched how the ants unpacked one worker, but it seems undeveloped. And the second interesting behavior is that I found one ant carrying other, but it's not a usual carrying is described in literature that ants sometimes carry other ant workers to move them to nest or to save spot if they're injured. They seemed like more like some sort of fighting. Sans have ritualized fightings, and here we can see the queen. So this is the star of the nest. So this is the queen, and she is quite distinguished. Uh, you can distinguish her by middle section of the body, which is the different than other ants have. She have wing scars. You can see them clearly here, and yeah. And here is the first cricket caught by the worker. Secondly, I provided roaches, and roach is getting prepared for the dinner. Yeah, these ants are quite fearless. And the second species that I have fed today is Carebara diversa, or the marauder ants. They are notorious for being active swarmers. As you can see here, the queen is quite gigantic. She is monstrous compared to the worker size. Workers are small. They are from 2 to 5 millimeters in length. There are some soldiers, and underneath you can see them. And yes, I provided crickets, and this is what happened after 1 minute of waiting. They almost immediately started to feed, and yeah, they started to swarm. As you can see, some ants are trying to hide their prey with the sand, and this behavior is quite interesting. And yes, and they're hiding the scent of the prey, so in that way other ants can't find the prey. What we can see here is my one of the most interesting ants, Harpegnathos venator. For instance, they are one of the most rarest ant genies that have eyesight, so they clearly can see what's happening around. Eggs are developing quite slowly. Uh, the average development to the larva taking 2 to 3 months, and the development of the to pupa and the adult individual takes some weeks, couple weeks. So the first cricket is caught, and yeah, and you can see the stinging action. These ants are quite notorious of being fearless hunters, and you can see they grab, yeah, and the second ant trying to help their mates, and yeah, they grab with the jaws and then sting with the stinger. Their jaws are quite strong. They, when they catch their prey, they almost squish it in the half. And yes, and the prey will be carried to the larva, so the larva can feed. And what they're actually doing with their stingers, they inject the poison into prey's body, and therefore they liquefy insides of the prey. Um, the prey provided to the larva is already liquefied inside, and larva only drinks the soup from the prey, in, which is made from insides. Yeah. Another interesting species that I have fed today is Camponotus singularis, which is a Chinese Camponotus species. They grow quite big. Uh, workers are 2.5 to 3 centimeters. Majors are 3.5 centimeters long. They are famous for being quite shy and not so aggressive ant species. They usually prefer to feed outside of the nest, and only in some occasions they dragging feeding objects to the nest. As you can see here, there's a major, and despite being large he is quite shy and are very beautiful with these big reddish heads. And now you can see they're gathering more. Yeah, the jelly is smelling very good, and this jelly has a fruit smell. So the ants gathering very fast together and starting to feed. So that's all for today's feeding video. I hope you enjoy it. If you like this channel, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and yeah, and the other video probably will be in this week. So stay tuned, folks, and goodbye, or in Latvian, uz redzi.